welcome to Soundcheck. My name is Jess Jones. I am the Center Director with the Kaufherr Resource Center here in Chicago, Illinois. We exist to support union professionals in the pursuit of work, predominantly SAG-AFTRA and equity performers, and we are so pleased to be sitting down with you today. A little bit for you, before we get started with our talk, if you enjoy content like this and conversations like these, we want to make sure that you have a front row seat for the future series. So if you are not already subscribed to our newsletter, we encourage you to do so. You can do that at Kaufherr Center Chicago. That's Kaufherr, centerchicago.com. Go right down to the center middle to the Kaufherr headliner, and that's where you can subscribe to get information about our programs delivered straight to your inbox, so you could be the first to know when there's a new event or series to RSVP for. So we'd love for you to stay involved that way. If you're a little bit more social, we encourage you to follow us on social media. You could do that on Facebook and Instagram at Kaufherr Center. You may be watching us already on our Facebook page, so if so, hello Facebook audience. But if you stay tuned there, we post photos from events, new RSVP opportunities, and other items of interest for our community. So we'd love to have you be part of our community in a social way. So please do follow us there. We'd love to chat and engage with you. Drop us a message in the messages, drop us a DM, and we get into a conversation, see how we could collaborate together. But speaking of collaborations, I am so glad you're here for our last sound check of the month with Dr. Greta Pope. I am so appreciative of this series and Dr. Greta Pope for bringing this to the Kaufherr Center, because conversations and community with creatives is something that I treasure and value and appreciate the most about what I get to do in our space and how we get to engage together. And it has been the thing that we've missed doing in person in our center, but I'm grateful for this space virtually because it gives us a chance to touch base, hear from one another, and hear what each other has been up to. And today's conversation with Pia Renee is going to be exciting in that regard, because some of you already know what she's been up to on your TV, but I will leave that up to my friend, Dr. Greta Pope, who I'd love to bring to the conversation. Dr. Greta Pope, how are you doing today? I think you're in Michigan. Are you as gray today as I am here?
Yes, good morning, Jess. It is very gray here, very windy, just cold and blustery. It's like winter is coming back.
I know that the warmth is back around the corner, but I was joking just before we went live that I take full responsibility for this weather because I went to a car wash this week. And so that is my firmly ingrained belief from my parents, is the moment you wash your car, then it rains and turns not clean car weather. So I apologize to you in Michigan for sending my decisions your way today.
Well, apology accepted. Somehow, I don't think it's your fault, but it's kind of it's an interesting philosophy, no doubt about it.
I have very few superstitions in my life, and this is just one. Since it was introduced to me at such an early age, it's clearly one that I've held on to for my entire life. So I will. You'll let me off the hook. I'll just maintain in the position of culpability for this weather, and gratefully, I think next week we'll see a turn back up into the 70s again. So
yeah, looking forward to
that. Yeah. Well, without further ado, I'm going to leave the conversation to you.
Okay, thank you, Jess. Hey there, and welcome to Soundcheck. I'm Dr. Greta Pope, and I'm so excited to have this opportunity to visit with creatives from a variety of disciplines about their professional journey. We are in the midst of a pandemic that has changed all of our lives and the ways in which we work. We'll use this forum to share our thoughts, feelings, and best practices for surviving this challenging time. I am just over the moon today to have this wonderful opportunity to visit with vocalist extraordinaire, Pia Renee. What a treat it is to have her with us and to be able to learn all about her. She took the world of voice acting by storm most unexpectedly. When a global marketing executive heard the movingly rich timbre of her voice, she was catapulted into the ad world, becoming the voice behind many major promotional campaigns. In addition to her newly discovered voiceover talent, she is a seasoned singer, songwriter, and musician. She has competed briefly on American Idol, and most recently, Pia Renee placed in the top 9 of season 20 of The Voice. Check out Pia on The Voice.
Everyone's feeling pretty. Stevie. It's hotter than July. Though the world is full of problems, they couldn't touch us even if they tried. Peace has come to Zimbabwe. Third world's right on the one. Now's the time for celebration, 'cause we only just begun. Oh, you will be jamming until the break of dawn. Bet you nobody ever told you that you will be jamming until the break of dawn. You'll be jamming and jamming and jamming and jamming. I bet you if someone approached you yesterday to tell you that you would be jamming, you would not believe it because you never thought that you'd be jamming. Oh, jamming till the break of dawn. Oh, you may as well believe what you are feeling because you feel your body jamming. Jamming, we jamming. Wow, we jamming.
Wow. Wow. Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Pia Renee.
Hello, hello. Good morning.
That is so exciting. Oh my gosh. I saw that Jess put in the chat, your voice gives me chills. Me too. Absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Wow. You look great this morning. Loving the hair, loving the jewelry, looking beautiful.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So tell us what that experience was like. I mean, I can't even imagine how exciting. How exciting.
It was tremendously exciting, tremendously, I don't want to say stressful, but you know, you don't know who's going to turn, if they're going to turn, and you got the virtual audience that's looking at you, and there's so much to manage in the moment, and it goes by so quickly.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So yeah, extreme excitement would be an understatement.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Absolutely fantastic. So clearly you had an exciting last few weeks.
I have.
As you have just returned. I mean, when did you return? I mean, this has been very, very recent.
Yes, I got home last week on Wednesday.
Wow.
Yeah, so everything's still very fresh. I still wake up thinking I've missed something on the schedule. And it's not even, I'm not even on the show.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So tell us about your Team John Legend. What was that like?
So Team Legend was amazing. Like John is very calm. He's very disarming. He's very aware of everything that's going on around him. He manages the room really well. I do admire that greatly about him. The people that I shared him with, they were also very great, very gracious, very kind people, and we all still keep in touch. So
how nice.
It was a fabulous experience.
So tell us about that. So when you were working with John Legend, was it one-on-one with you, or was it all of the people on Team Legend, or a combination of both things?
So it is one-on-one. It's very quick and to the point. There's no real time to, powwow and to ask questions and to really dig deep, especially with it being like a season that was like affected by COVID. So we had like very strict COVID protocol. So it was one-on-one interaction, with the exception of when we did like battles and knockouts.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great. So where did The Voice take place, and how long were you there?
So The Voice is filmed at Universal Studios in Los Angeles, and I was there for pretty much a total of, I would say, 4 to 5 months. Yeah, so, but not consecutively. It was broken up into like a month here, a month and a half here, a month and a half here.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is what an experience.
Yeah.
So I think it took up a lot of your COVID time. And I do have some questions for you later in our interview about how you spent your COVID time. But I'm sure that this, gave you a lot to look forward to, and just a lot of excitement during this period of time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what was an average day like? How did you spend your time there?
So we were scheduled every day to have either Zoom calls or some sort of meeting online, and we had our rehearsals. We had time with the vocal coach that works with us in addition to John. Her name is Trelawney Rose. We spent a great deal of time with her, and I love her so much. Let's see, what else did we do? We had wardrobe, makeup, hair. So it just depends on what, if we were filming that day or if we were leading up to a day of filming. We had to do, schedule time to do B-roll, which is, the packages that you all saw that usually were shown prior to a performance. So in the beginning with the blind auditions, our schedule was pretty open. But the further along we moved in the competition, the scheduling got a lot tighter and a lot more grueling.
Yeah. Now you talked about wardrobe. So is this wardrobe that they provide for you, or wardrobe that you bring and they just kind of tweak it and help you, or how does that work?
So wardrobe is provided, but I have very specific tastes about how I want to look. So I brought most of what you saw me wear on stage was I brought it, with the exception of the blue dress I wore for battles. Everything you saw is from my personal, my closet.
Well, you looked fabulous.
Thank you. That was the goal.
So how many singers were on each celebrity's team?
So we started with 10 on each team, and that was anywhere from 30 to 40,000 people auditioned for the show. And only 10 people make it to each celebrity's team. So you have a total of 40 people that that kick off the show.
It's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. So you were on American Idol in 2007. Yes. How exciting and fun that must have been.
Well, it was extremely stressful too. I will say that Idol is a beast of a different color, even though it's still a singing competition. It's just very different behind the scenes.
Well, share with us how, what your experiences were and how they were different on The Voice than on American Idol. You're saying it was a beast of a different color.
Yeah, Idol was it was very much about TV, and it was very much about shock value whenever that an opportunity to create or capture something that would be shocking to the audience was available. Yeah. Whereas with The Voice, it's really about your talent, and it's about showing the artist in the best light possible. So those are the stark differences. I don't know if Idol's changed since 2007, but when I was a part of it, that was my experience.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So you have had some wonderful experiences in your career. Yeah, it's fantastic. What are your biggest takeaways from these particular, The Voice and American Idol? What are your biggest takeaways from those two things?
I would say my biggest takeaways are to be calm, be prepared, and I hate to sound cliche, but truly trust the process. Like when you put the time in on your own, and you put the time in with the notes that you're provided with your coach or the band director or the vocal coach or whomever you're working with, but that's giving you critiques, really take those things to heart and apply them and just fly.
Wow, that's great. Those are very good takeaways. Very good. So let's go back to your early years. You're from the west side of Chicago. Yes. How did you begin singing? How old were you when you started? What was your life like then?
So I discovered that I had a singing voice very young. I remember being upstairs at my grandma's house. My mom was going to work, and I was one of those children that watch movies over and over and over again. So I had this VHS tape of Snow White, and I was watching it for the 11,000th time. And there's a scene in it where she's singing to the birds, and it just captivated me. And I was like, I wonder if I could do that. So I ran into my mama's closet, because I used to like to play in the closet because I liked the way my voice sounded in the closet, not knowing that later in life I would be in studios with the same compression effect. And I mimicked the notes that I heard, and I discovered, like, I can do it too. I can sing. So I was literally a little girl just experimenting, and that's when I discovered it. And not long after that, a few years later, I was singing in church at the family. You know, I had a cousin who's a pastor, and we sang at her church and in the choir growing up, and sang in praise and worship teams as a teenager. And then in my 20s, my early 20s, I started to pursue a formal education in music. And then that's when the reggae and the world music became a part of my life.
That is absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. So you also play electric bass, I understand. How cool is that? How did you start with that instrument?
Well, you know, I knew that an instrument, I just felt that I had an instrument in me. And I also wanted to not just be a singer. I feel like it's an advantage to every singer to add an instrument to your repertoire, because when you're in an environment where it's very competitive, sometimes having an instrument sets you apart, and it puts you kind of in a different league than just singing in and of itself. So I knew I didn't want to play piano. I regret that decision, but I didn't want to play piano at the time. And I wanted to be like Prince. And I started actually on electric guitar, but I had like zero understanding of what was beginning, intermediate, and advanced learning material. So I went out and bought all of this guitar stuff, and I got home and I didn't realize it was advanced. So I put the DVD in and I opened the book, and I immediately cried because I had no idea what the guy was talking about. Like, what's a mode? What is a scale? What is he talking about? And I cried like, what is this? Is something wrong with me? But I had no idea that that's way advanced. So I decided to go to Harold Washington College, which was the closest junior college near where I lived at the time. And I inquired about music classes. In the process of me doing that, I see this guy walk past the building and he has a guitar on his back. So I literally run out the building. I chase this man down. I'm like, excuse me, sir, excuse me. Can you tell me where I can get guitar classes? And he stepped back and he looked me up and down. He said, guitar, don't play guitar, play bass. I was like, well, what's the difference? And he took his guitar, he took his bass off his back. He unzipped his bag and he pulled it out and started explaining the strings and the sound. And from then on, I became a bass player.
Oh my God.
It's very serendipitous.
Yes, you were aggressive, you were determined.
Yes.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. So you've also had some exciting international performing opportunities.
Yes.
You traveled to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, how fun. And to some other very cool locales. Tell us about some of your favorite travel experiences.
Man, anytime I get to use my passport is a favorite time for me. Anytime is a stamp and a visa going in that little book, it's a good time for me. Everywhere that I've ever gone outside of this country has been because of music. And I'm so very grateful for that. Music paid for my passport. It's the reason why I've been anywhere in the world. And coming from where I came from, like, I didn't know anybody who traveled internationally. I didn't even know like any international folks growing up on the west side of Chicago. So I consider myself extraordinarily blessed to have been gifted these types of experiences. But I will say the first time I set foot in Addis Ababa, it was life changing. I didn't realize how much I internalized certain things about myself because that weren't good. Like when I went to Africa, I recognized how much African-American culture in the United States is still connected. Even if you don't have a conscious connection, there are things that we do that are still in step with the homeland. Like, you know, at night, everybody at Addis comes outside and they're just walking around and everybody, it's just this spirit about the communion and the fellowship that reminded me of home. I was like, this feels like the West Side. But then a little goat ran past. I'm like, well, this is definitely not the West Side because we don't have random goats just running around. But it just felt like home, and the food and the dance and the way people interact and the things that, like when I grew up, when everybody came outside on the block and having a good time, like not soon after, like the police would show up and it, in my mind as a child, I internalized it as we were doing something wrong, even though it felt really good. So to go to Africa and to experience that same kind of thing where everybody's just out and experiencing one another, it really adjusted something within me to let me know that, hey, there's nothing wrong with my culture. There's nothing wrong with where I'm from, or, you know, it remedied something that as a child, I didn't have the language to express or ask questions about. So it was absolutely life altering. So I would say Ethiopia is my favorite place in the whole wide world.
That is fantastic.
For that reason.
Yeah, and I think that's so very true. You know, when we're able to travel, we begin to see how people are connected.
Yeah.
Are connected, and
Yeah.
it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. So where else have you gone? What other interesting stories do you have?
I've experienced Tel Aviv, Israel. I was there actually on the 61st anniversary of their independence as a nation.
Wow.
That was amazing. I've
Yeah.
gone to Abu Dhabi, Dubai. I've gone to Toronto, Canada. I've been to Jamaica. That was on some leisurely stuff, but it was still kind of music motivated. Let's see, where else have I gone? In the world, where have you been? The one time we refueled in Italy, so I was technically in Italy, but not in Italy.
That is exciting.
Yeah. So those are the few places that I can recall. Yeah, but I've gone to Ethiopia like 3 times total thus far.
Wow.
Yeah.
World travel is a wonderful thing. And music, as you were saying, is a wonderful way to have the kinds of experiences that you might not otherwise have had.
Absolutely.
It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. I will tell a very brief story about a guy that I knew as I was growing up. I played violin, and this guy played cello. And he was quite talented. And he came from a very poor background. And he ended up going to college, getting a master's degree, getting a doctor of musical arts, and was on the faculty at Kent State University, all because of music.
Yes.
So I am a believer that music really does change people's lives.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
Absolutely. So you are a renowned voiceover actor. How did you get into that?
Is that renowned? What? That's so, that blows my mind to hear that.
It's true, though. It's true. So how did you get into that arena?
So I was hired to actually sing and play bass at the 3% conference, which is an annual event that's hosted by FCB here in Chicago. And I don't know if it's always at Navy Pier, but in this particular instance, when I was a part of it, it was at Navy Pier. And I was a part of this creative collective group, and on the they have an inspirational piece, and we were a part of that. So I was hired to sing a song and play bass guitar along with everybody else that was singing and making merry. So the person that hired me requested that I do Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. And it was a creative collaborative group called Clark Street Bridge. And the gentleman's name was Jeff Boyle, who made this request of me. So I'm like, okay, cool. Still I Rise is very motherly, is very, very pointed culturally. So you got to come and you got to bring the soul. So when we finished singing and playing instruments, and then we moved on to the poems, and there were 2 young ladies that went in front of me, and they delivered their pieces, and then I came with Still I Rise in all of its majesty. And I didn't know that the CCO of FCB, Susan Creedle, was present. She actually was emceeing the event. I didn't know who she was. And she was in the back of the room. And when I was in the process of delivering the piece, she whipped out her phone and started recording me. And not only that, the event was being streamed back to the agency in Chicago. So everybody back at the home office in Chicago saw me. And I was just on stage and I did the poem. I was proud. I was happy. Yay, good day. And so we go backstage and everybody's just, decompressing and getting prepared to leave. And a couple of people had, a gentleman from the agency that I connected with, because I had inquired about writing, presenting music to them for TV ads and film. And I wanted to partner with the agency. So I, connected with this person. And he was like, oh, Pia, funny enough, you wanted to connect with us. They're asking if you can come down and do a read at the office. I'm like, okay, now at this point in my life, I know nothing about voiceover, the world of voiceover. I don't know the terminology. I don't know the buzzwords, nothing. So I'm okay, cool. I'll do that. So I'm packing my bass up with my amp and I'm rolling back to my car, and I'm getting all these text messages and phone calls like, FCB wants you to come in, FCB. I'm like, all right, fine. I took the day off from work. I'll be there. So I roll on over to, this is the abridged version of the story because it's actually super serendipitous in and of itself. But for the sake of time, I'll give you the abridged version. So I roll over to FCB. I get upstairs and it's like 5 people waiting on me, and they're like, hey, how are you? It was kind of like it caught me off guard. I'm like, what's happening? So they whisked me off into a room and they started to talk to me about Walmart. And I'm like, okay. And they hand me a script. They're like, well, can you go into the booth and give us a read? I'm like, cool. So I go in, I read it. They give me a few notes. Hey, well, can you put a smile in your voice here? And can you give us an upward inflection on this word? I'm like, okay, fine. So in the process of doing that, there are people coming in and out of the room just looking. And I'm like, what is going on? What is happening? So I finish in like 15 minutes. I come out, the copywriter, the guy who actually wrote the script, it's like, oh, you did great. That was amazing. So what I didn't know at the time was it was so unorthodox for voice talent to come in at the recommendation of a high level executive. That's why people were peeping in like, who is this? Like, who is she? What is she doing? Like, that's why all these people were popping in and out of the room. So I come out and I'm like, okay, whatever, all right. So, and fast forward, FCB, where they actually hadn't won a piece of the PR business with Walmart, but when they pitched they made the pitch using my voice, they actually won the business.
Oh my God.
So FCB ended up getting a nice piece of the PR business for Walmart with
That
yours
is-
truly.
That is absolutely fantastic. Wow.
Yeah.
And then it's just gone on for you from there.
It has, and it's been absolutely miraculous, and it's not lost on me how amazing that is, because there are people that are trying to break into voiceover. There are people who've been in voiceover who've done it for years, and they want a massive client like Walmart. And
Wow.
I'm very, very extraordinarily grateful for
Wow.
what I have. It's gratitude is not lost on me whatsoever.
That's great. So what have been some of your other exciting voiceover opportunities?
So I've done some work for CNN as a result of the Walmart work. So there was a commercial, United Towns was the name of it, that debuted during the Super Bowl of, was it 2019? 2019, or I think it was 20, I don't remember. It's 2020, I think. I don't remember. Girl, time is just like doing this weird dance in my mind. So someone from CNN heard that commercial and they reached out to my agent. So I ended up doing a news promo for CNN, which was called A Matter of Trust, which came out, it was amazing. So I've done that. I've done things for Nestle. I've done things for Ford. And these were more industrial things, which is things that their employees and people that are within, it's in-house voiceover stuff versus things that are PR and advertising, which the public hears. Who else? Nestle, and I've done some political stuff. I've done, what else? It's some other stuff in there. I just can't think of it.
I'm sure. Very exciting. Very exciting. So tell me, how has voiceover changed for you during the pandemic? Have you been doing a lot? Have you found good work?
I have, and I'm again very, 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 very blessed and fortunate to be able to have had work during the pandemic, because the pandemic had such an ill impact for so many creatives, and I did not experience that. And in addition to that, prior to me becoming a voiceover voice actor, I was an essential worker. I was driving trucks. Can you believe it? Someone this fabulous. I was driving trucks. So I was an essential worker. So, I didn't, my household was not ill impacted by the pandemic at all. And I had plenty of work with Walmart because they were very active with assuring their customers that they were taking the proper steps in terms of sanitizing and in terms of even when the vaccine rolled out. And, they really did take a reassuring approach, during the pandemic. So that kept me going.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So do you have a studio in your home? Do you do recording from your home, or are you mostly going into your agent, or when you do the commercials, how are you doing that?
So actually, primarily since the pandemic, it's been at home. So I have my little microphone that I move into like random spots in the house. Sometimes I'll be in the closet in my bedroom. Sometimes I'll sit in the kitchen if my refrigerator is not like humming and doing whatever refrigerators do. Or if there's nobody out here doing lawn work, I'll just record in whatever comfortable spot in the house.
Wow, that's great. What kind of equipment do you have?
So I have my handy dandy MacBook Pro. I have a Shure, it's a SM5. I think that's the name of the mic. It's primarily used for podcasting, but it's fantastic for voiceover work. It does require an interface. It's not a USB mic where you just go directly into the laptop. And that's pretty much it. I have, of course, the pop guard to catch my plosives, but I don't use it as often. But it's a very simple setup.
That's great. And it works. It works.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's so important. We've had several other voice artists on the show, and they all say that it's, it's a simple setup. It doesn't require necessarily a whole lot of really expensive stuff.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah. So it's really great. So what do you think the future of the voiceover industry will be? We talked with a lot of people who they're all recording from home. Some of the steps that were in there are now no longer really needed. So what do you think that the future of voice work will be?
Well, I do miss actually going into the ad agency. I miss interacting with the staff there and the writers and the people and the engineers. I do miss that. Excuse me. So I don't know. I don't know if it'll continue in this way. If it does, I'm okay with it because I can literally record VO anywhere I am.
Yeah.
I would say, I look at what's trending now versus what was popular when I was young. I remember hearing like the Anheuser-Busch commercials, and they were very polished and announcery and very tune in to the next, this, that, or the third. We are going to be here tomorrow. And that's nowhere near the VO landscape nowadays. Everything is conversational, and authenticity is very big, and warmth, and feeling like you're talking to your best friend or your mom or your sister or your brother. So I am very interested to see what the next wave will be once, I don't think you can go wrong with authenticity and bonding with people and making customers or potential customers feel safe and disarmed. I don't think that that'll ever go out of style.
Yeah.
But I am very, very curious to see what the next wave will be.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I think you're right. I don't think that will ever go out of style. And it's a nice approach to people.
Absolutely.
Making them feel secure and comfortable. It's great. It's great. And I think that's one of the appealing things about your voice. I love your voice. It is
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just so warm. It's so warm and
Thank
sincere. It's lovely.
Thank you.
So how has the pandemic impacted you personally and emotionally? How have you kept yourself encouraged during this time?
I'm gonna make you use your doctorate degree now. You don't need to counsel me now. So I would say when things initially slowed down, and I'm the type of person, I've become aware of myself that when I like to be active. And prior to me having this revelation about myself, I was addicted to being busy. And within being addicted to being busy, I recognize now that it was because I didn't like to feel my feelings. Like if I feel sad or I feel anxious or depressed or what have you, I would prefer to do something that I view as productive because I feared that those emotions would render me unproductive and unprofitable. So if I'm doing something, if I'm busy, I'm doing something and I'm being profitable despite of this emotional state. So when the pandemic hit, and it gave many people, myself included, a much needed rest.
Yes.
It was I didn't know how to deal with it initially. I know I needed the break. I needed the time, but I had a hard time just really settling into it. And that told me a lot about myself. Number one, the conditioning that we have, not just as individuals, but just as a nation, we 9 to 5, 5 days a week, typically, if not more, 40 hours plus per week. That's what we're used to. We're used to being workhorses in a way. So when you take away that element, and then too, the pride of being a work hard, working person, when you don't have that anymore, it really messes with the fabric of how you see yourself. So for me, it's like, okay, you're not what you do. Who you are is not equivalent to what you do it by any stretch of the imagination. You're okay. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to rest. It's okay. And it's almost like the outbreak of the pandemic was the only way that people like myself would have given ourselves permission to do that. Otherwise, I don't think I ever would have given myself permission to just be. Not, you don't have to do nothing. You don't have to be nowhere. You don't have to be on. Just be. Yep. And so I did initially, when at the onset of the pandemic, I did feel a lot of emotions rushing, flooding me, like, we can't run from this anymore, can we? We must deal with it. Yeah. So initially I did feel that, but I would say now I'm in a much healthier place. I don't like live for the weekend anymore, because quite frankly, I don't know what day it is most of the time. So,
I have talked about that so many times, not knowing what day it is, not knowing like what's on my calendar, all of these things. It's, you're absolutely right. I think that we have all had an opportunity to kind of search our souls.
Absolutely.
And really come to understand things about ourselves that we would not have had an opportunity for. So I think that is fantastic. It's fantastic. So have you taken up any new projects, knitting or anything like that during
girl, listen, I wish I was that person. I have to do some unraveling of the last, I would say 18 to 20 years, because I've been a mom since I was 16, right? Yeah. So being a mom, still having to graduate from high school, going to college, working, just kind of go. So at this point, it's like, I don't want to do nothing I don't have to do, but that's not okay, because then I turn my nose up at learning new things and experiencing new things. And it's like, I don't got time for that. Yes, you do. You actually got a lot of time for that. Yeah. So come on, invite these things in. So I've done a couple of paint and sips. So I do actually enjoy painting. Wow. I enjoy, of course, reading and actually understanding that I don't have to live from a place of anxiety and come on, get it done. We got to do this next. You got to be here. Like, you don't. Like, both of my children are in college and they're self-contained units, and I have time now, and I have to really recondition my mind to really live in that space, because I'm not quite used to it yet.
Yeah, that is wonderful. That's wonderful. So how have your children dealt with the pandemic? Everything's just been probably just fine for them, huh?
Not so much. My daughter, it kind of hit during her freshman year, and she was ready to party real hard and just really, get herself acclimated to college life, and it really just cut into her freshman year experience. So she was not happy with the pandemic at all. My son, he was a junior at the time, so he was kind of over it. Like, I can just come home and do classes from online. I don't want to deal with going back and forth to campus, and we don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to let us be here or not. So he decided to come home and finish his last year online. My daughter was like, nope, I'm still trying to live this life. I'm still trying to have this party experience. So her and her roommate got a place off campus, and they're living their best life and just, enjoying that experience still. So I would say my daughter probably struggled with it the most.
Yeah. That's so nice that you had that opportunity to be with your son. You come home. I mean, what a treat and a treasure that time must have been for you. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it is. And he's got his own life, and his days are full. So I have days I'm like, are you here? Like, I had to call and say, are you home? I haven't seen you in like 2 days. He's like, well, you usually sleep when I leave, and I'm downstairs. I'm like, oh, okay. I ain't sleeping 2 days. So
That's great. Such a blessing to have children.
It is. I'm very grateful. They have saved my life in many ways.
Oh, that's wonderful. Mm-hmm. So what advice would you give to singers or to voiceover actors just starting out? What has been your secret to the amazing success that you're having, other than a delightful personality?
Oh, thank you. I wouldn't even say I have a secret. I would not say that at all, because it still floors me that you would refer to me as renowned. And then when I met with my agent the other day, she was like, you're one of the top earners here. I'm like, what? Like, how? I would say to anybody starting out, just be about, make your pursuits, look at it as your life's work. Be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself as you're growing. Don't chase after money, don't chase fame. Look at the work that you do and the gift that you have as how you want to live your life. And I always I look at my music, for example, as my life's work. So I'm not bent out of shape that I I didn't get a Grammy at 21, or I haven't gone on a world tour at 25. I'm 38 now, and the people are just now seeing. I'm not bent out of shape about that. But if I was to allow external things to shape my consciousness and to shape my frame of reference, I would be like, oh, I should have been doing this at 22. I should have did this by now. I should have been over here by now. I'm too old, or I'm not young enough. And be the captain of your own perception and make it to where you're comfortable within yourself. And I'll honestly say, I took the leap right before, many months before the voiceover work became a part of my life. I took the leap from my corporate job, and it was not comfortable at all. And I really do believe that when you take risks and you invest in yourself fully, I do believe that you are met with things that you couldn't have thought of or asked for. And I wouldn't recommend that anybody do anything unwise, like quitting with no savings, which is what I did. I'm not gonna lie, I was in foreclosure. My homeowners association's dues were way past due, so they was trying to evict me. My mortgage company was like, homegirl, we coming. And every bill I had was behind. And on top of that, my daughter was getting ready to graduate high school and go into her first year of college. So I had to make sure that she had she was able to celebrate her milestones, such as prom and the send-offs and those things, without her feeling the discomfort that I was feeling because of a choice that I made. But in the midst of all of that, when the voiceover work became a part of my life, it literally, I was able to get caught up with my mortgage, able to get every bill back to a zero balance. And I do believe it's because I did take the leap. I do believe that not only because I took the leap and I had faith in myself, and somehow the universe, God, or whatever you believe in, met me there. And not only that, but I've always made my children a priority. I've never said, well, I want to pursue this, so we're going to live out the car and we're going to shower at the gym. I've never made their lives uncomfortable because of my talent or my pursuits. And I really do believe that matters. It matters how you treat people. It matters what you choose. So I would say, don't ever feel like time is working against you, because it's not. Life is happening for you and not to you. And that's why I would say I don't have a secret. I'm a girl from the west side of Chicago who came from the most unsavory set of circumstances and the most unfavorable statistics you can imagine. And now I sit here as being with a voice that, people have heard, millions of people have heard, and now they have a face to put with my singing voice and not just my speaking voice. So I am literally a miracle in many ways. So I just have faith in myself, and I didn't quit. Wow. I would say that's the secret. Believe in you with absolute reckless abandon, and don't quit.
Wow. Pia, you are such an inspiration. I'm telling you, such an inspiration to people coming along, to people that are already on the path, to people that are mature and are already doing their thing. I mean, you are truly just an inspiration. That's all I can say. I'm so happy to have had this chance to chat with you today. Such an impressive career.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm telling you, I'm just.
That blows my mind. We're talking about girl, what?
I wish you so much continued success. I know that you will have continued success.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, I am going to call Jess back and have her join us. Hi, Jess.
Hi.
Hasn't this been fabulous? Oh my God.
Pia, I feel like Pia should be taking notes on her own life so she could get the memoir ready. You know what I mean?
Oh, girl, listen, y'all ain't ready for this memoir.
Yeah, you'll be able to go back and look at this and write stuff down, because you should be writing a memoir. Just fantastic.
Lord.
Well, you know what I love though? I mean, it's something that we talk about when we do studio jams at the Kaufherr Center, where, small groups of people get together and work. And sometimes the moderator says to me, well, what is it that people want from the jam, or what is it that they need? And I say, the thing that is the best thing is whatever your experience is, because no other moderator is going to bring that into the conversation. So I can't tell you what to bring to it because I don't know what your journey's like, and I don't know what your journey's taught you, and what you have relative to your journey is going to be what helps other people, because you have one unique path that you can speak from. And I'm listening to you and I'm thinking that too, because like your journey, like your specific ride, you know, and we've had this conversation before too, Greta, about that, you know, positioning of like, what was it? And I always forget the quote, the luck plus opportunity, or the, you know what I mean, is, you had to remind me of the quote last time and I still can't remember it.
Let me think for a moment. I'll remember it.
But that's what I'm thinking of when you're talking about that performance, you know what I mean? Because it was, you know, you bring all of you to the table, but then positioning yourself for that luck, you know, that opportunity to bear out, you know, and return to you the investments you've made in yourself.
Yeah.
It's just, it's phenomenal. It's a wonderful story to listen to. It's such an encouragement.
The phrase is opportunity plus preparation equals luck.
I just need to write it down so I don't forget. But I mean, that's exactly right. You know, I think it's like, I mean, listening to Pia talk, it's that thing again, you know, it's the opportunity and preparation, you know, I just even like thinking of you running down the street after someone that happens to be carrying a case with an instrument that looks like what you're going after. Like, I will accost the stranger and figure out how to do this here. Like, I just love it. I love it. We do have a couple of questions to bring into the conversation. David asks, Pia, where do you find your greatest strength?
Oh, man. From my experience, my life experience, I've gone through so many things that were painful and pain and pressure. And I'm like, God, why is this happening to me? Why is this like this? And I've learned that life is happening for you and not to you. So I draw strength from the things that I've gone through that I thought would just knock the air out of my soul, but it has actually strengthened and succored me for the time that I'm in now. Like I'm not moved by negative comments. I'm not moved by what people may think or say. I just stand in the truth of what's authentic for me and what feels good to me. And if you like it, that's good, but I liked it first, and that's all that matters to me.
That's great.
I love that. I love that. I wrote something down. I have a daily book that I, you know, try to commit to, but something you were talking about was I had to pull it out and be like, oh, I feel like I was just writing that lesson about, because you're talking about time and all that stuff. You're like, and you're even now saying life is happening for you, not to you, you know, and all that pressure stuff about how we feel like we're supposed to be spending our time. And the thing that had come up in one of my books yesterday was, don't think of time or eternity, live in the one amazing, glorious now.
Yes.
No past or future, only now. And I feel like that's exactly what you're getting to, is like this time out too has kind of helped us remind ourselves of that, is that, you know, all those plans, all those big, you know, that sense of industry, that sense of purpose that's driven by busyness, you know, when all you have is the one glorious now. And that day by day, you know, I've gotten to the point where I laugh. I'm like, is it Wednesday or February? Who knows? Like, you know what I mean? What does it matter? You know what I mean? Being here today doesn't need me to have to coordinate it with a calendar. I can just be here today, right? You know, so that's great. Jay asks, what is your daily routine or ritual that you do? Are there certain things that you do, like a prayer, meditation, affirmations, warm-ups before you start your day?
Okay, so this is good. This is where the part of me that loves discipline and the part of me that is like anarchist toward structure collide. So I feel so great when I can start my day off and I meditate and I create, you know, that surge of coherence between your heart and your mind, and you feel you inform your electromagnetic field, and it's like, oh, come on, I'm drawing all the possibilities toward myself. And then there's days where I roll over and immediately check emails first. And it's like, that's not how you do this. That's not how it's supposed to go. You're supposed to meditate first. You're supposed to journal first. Like I've had all kinds of mornings. I had days where I have a guided meditation. I have a day when I wake up and I journal first, and that's a type of meditation. I have a day when I wake up and I just walk through the house and I feel the vibe, and I'll sit down in the calm of my home and just read a book. So it's different. I have days where I get up and I work out first. It's just, I don't have a set ritual. I don't, but in my mind, I meditate first, and then I just conquer the day masterfully in my mind. That's what I do, but that's not every day for me.
who we aspire to be on our best morning.
Yeah.
I feel that I've gotten in that bad habit because there's an app that I try to use to do that kind of thing. And then I find myself picking up my phone to like read my little daily prompts. And then the next thing I know, I'm looking on Facebook because I forgot what I picked the phone up for. I'm like, wait a minute.
You hate that? It's like, what?
Wait a minute. I'm looking at photos of a birthday party right now. And I was supposed to be reading like a guided prompt. Like, how did I get here?
Right.
So
Same.
I feel you. There's so many things that you could do. And it's like, I think it's moving with the spirit, or going as the spirit leads you. Because some days you can't get too heady.
The most important thing to do is just to check in with yourself. Because some days you wake up and you're immediately, your goals and the definition by which you wish to live is right there and it's present. Okay, get up, do this, and it feels great. Like, oh, my thoughts are in order. And then there are days you wake up and it's like, that was a weird dream. Why do I feel like this? Well, that emotion, I thought I got past that. Well, why am I thinking about that? And it's just like, okay, then you have to just really talk to yourself. Okay, why? Just check in. And I think to people, myself included, that want to marry themselves to a ritual because they want to have like structure unto success, I think the best thing to do is just always check in with you first, because we are, as human beings, we're so powerful and so divine and so able to literally speak things and create them and think things and see them happen in our lives that we tend to not tap into that, and we tend to like give our autonomy to things that are outside of ourselves. So I think if you develop the habit of really just checking in with you first and becoming self-aware on like this like transcendent level, I think that is more important than any that's the best ritual you could ever have.
Wow.
I agree. I'm going to ask one last question before we start to wrap us out. Pia, speaking of what you can create in those things, what are you hoping to create next? I know you're still in that phase of feeling like, what is it that you're saying about me and what are the words you're using to describe me, but like claiming that too, what do you vision for yourself? What are you hoping for your next chapters?
So my next chapters, I will say I am open to the unknown, because a lot of major things,
the best things come out of that sometimes, right?
You, man, just open. So like I really I like Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's like, one of the mind meditation gurus that I really I ascribe to. So one of the things he talks about is like, you can set your intention, meditate on that thing, and just let it go and let it come to you in the right timing and how it's supposed to. Set your intention and don't sweat the details. So for me, my desire moving forward is to release my rendition of What the World Needs Now. That was a performance that I got a lot of like worldwide strong feedback about, and I want to release that recording as well as a visual to go along with that, to release my album and to work with John Legend in the future in some capacity, and also to just continue to grow as an artist and continue to develop, continue to push forward in the awareness of me as a brand and as an artist. And that's the goal. And then eventually a book. And when people read this book, they definitely gonna want to make it a movie because it is dramatic.
Wow.
I mean, we'll get off this talk and I'll send you my pre-order form right now. It's fine. I want to be on the record as the first or second person to have purchased the book. So, because I am here for your story for sure. It's awesome. It is awesome. Well, Pia, thank you so much for sitting down with us this hour. It has been so phenomenal to listen to you.
Myself today. Thank you. And I was like, I can apply all the things I've learned not to do based on my Instagram lives. And I did good today. I'm so happy. I didn't drop one F-bomb, not one F-bomb.
You did great today.
I'm proud of you.
It's 11 o'clock here, but it could be 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
F-bombs come out at 5 o'clock, and the cocktails and F-bombs.
We'll do cocktails with you next time. Then we can hear you talk really flippantly about things after 5 o'clock.
Well, Pia, you are just delightful. What a pleasure this has been today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Pia. It has been so good to sit with you. Thank you for sharing your story with us and making this time. Of course, Dr. Pope, thank you as always for anchoring our hour. And for folks that are watching right now, you can go back. I think that a number of Pia's performances are on the NBC The Voice page. So if you enjoy, I mean, I wish my video was on because I would have been shoving my arm at the screen so you could see my goosebumps, because listening to your voice is a trip. It's a wonderful ride that you take us on. So thank you for your gift and your art and your work. And if you want to check out more of Pia's performances, feel free to go do so on NBC The Voice. You could go back and watch some of her previous performances. Welcome back home. We're glad you're in Chicago. And, you know, now that we have you back, hopefully, you know, as the world opens up, we'll have a chance to see you somewhere live in the near future. We'll keep eyes and ears out for that as well.
Absolutely.
So that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
That is our hour.
Many thanks to Jess and Henrique. And have a wonderful Memorial Day.
Have a wonderful Memorial Day. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye.
Everybody. Bye.